Hey guys, welcome back to another video. TV here, back with another NVE tutorial video. I know it's been a while, but I'm back just as requested. So we're back with another NVE tutorial, and we got some new updates, a lot of new updates, a lot of new shadows and good stuff. I got a preset for you guys, so it's gonna be cool. Just like the old video, we're just gonna hop right into it, nitty gritty here. For everyone who's new to NVE, I do want to show you guys just the basics, so if you want to press shift enter, that actually pops up your ENB menu in game, and you can actually see all the check marks and everything, all the effects and stuff that you can use, and all the adaptations and all that good stuff, and the changes that you can apply. First, I want to start off by informing you guys of the input. So the key combination basically, so as I said, shift enter opens up the menu. If you actually want to change that, all you gotta do is hit shift right here. It would say shift. Mine says page up because I want page up and enter. All you gotta do is basically enter the key combination that you want to use to open up the ENB menu, this menu, the entire menu right here. And that's it. All you gotta do is do that, hit it. So mine is page up, so I hit page up plus enter. Boom. Alright guys, so I know that NVE can be a big frame killer, so if you guys want to follow these steps right here, you can actually save frames. The game might not look as well as it would with the effect, but in result you will have better FPS. So as you can see right now, I'm playing like 30-40. It's like a mix between 30-40 and 50, more in the 50 range though. So depending on where I'm turning, so if I'm facing over here, I'm getting like 50. If I'm facing the station, I'm getting like 42, stuff like that. So if you want to hit global and then hit use effect, so as you can see, my screen got brighter. It's not as great as it was before, and I'm getting 60 frames now, almost 70. So it's just something to think about if you want to save frames, but I'm not really big on frames right now, so I would hit use effect. I don't really care if I get like 50 or 40. The motion blur pretty much helps it out. So all right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty with the effects part. So I'm just gonna go down the list here, show you guys what you should be using and why you should use it, what you shouldn't be using, and why you shouldn't use it. I'm gonna make this brief and quick. Know we all got things to do. All right, so for the first one, use original post-processing. You want to have that on. You want to have that checked, because if you don't, you can clearly see my screen is red now. That's what will happen every time, unless you installed it wrongly and the screen will go black. You always want to use original post-processing because your game will look messed up. Use original bloom. You want to have that on because at nighttime and the morning times, dusk and dawn, you will see everything will look bloomy and it will look magical and it will look very nice. So always have the original bloom on. Use original aberration and lens distortion. I had that on. Distortion, I'm sorry. I had that on, but I just turned it off. You don't really need that at all unless you want like brighter headlights and brighter tail lights and brighter lights overall, like certain stuff, you just see a little sparkle. Use post pass shader. You don't need that on. As you can see, there's no difference, so I turned that off. Enable adaptation. You don't need that on at all, so just don't have it on. Enable bloom. This is kind of just like original bloom, but actually original bloom is more of that actual effect. If you just enable bloom, it's not really going to be a big difference. Enable lens. You don't need that on. Like you can see like the traffic lights and everything start to turn weird. If I enable that, you can see the screen kind of becomes pink on my screen. I don't know about you guys, but it becomes like a pink color and like everything's like lens and stuff, and it looks weird. Enable depth of field. You don't want to have that on because sometimes if you enable it, everything in the background becomes blurry. You see that thing in the back, that tower, that pole tower, it is so blurry. Like you want to be able to see that stuff. So I mean, it's always a preference. So turn it on, turn it off, it doesn't really matter to me. The next one is the most important one on this mod. It's called ambient occlusion. You want to have that on. You want to have that checked because this is what it looks like while it's not checked. You see everything, it's not really any shadows, no detail really. But you turn it on, you can clearly see the difference. All the shadows on the buildings, shadows on the walls and the details and stuff like that. You can see it everywhere. So, and all the edges of the screen and stuff like that. There's a lot of shadow effects. So always have ambient occlusion on. It's very important. Subsurface scattering, you don't need to have that on. There's no difference in the game. Skylighting, there's no difference really. Just usually when it's like noon or afternoon or something like that, you know, the lighting from the sky actually shoots down to the ground, and it kind of makes your screen more brighter. So skylighting is not really anything special. Detailed shadow, you don't need that. Normal map and shadow, both of those are just like, you don't need that. I don't even know why I have that checked actually. Some things are just like, I just done without my conscious knowing. Enable sprites, you definitely don't need that. Shore and water, you definitely don't need that. And enable rain reflections. Let me actually show you. All right, so now as you can see, it's beginning to rain. My FPS, no. So you see puddles start to begin. And as you can see, the rain reflection is off right now. That's what the rain reflection would look like. As you can see that puddle right there. You know, you still see a reflection, but it won't be as detailed. But when you have rain reflections on, oops, hey, when I punch, you can see the tree, you can see details on the building, you can see some stuff, you can see the bushes right here, you can see more lighting, you can see the details on the rain droplets. So everything is pretty cool when you turn on rain reflections. That's just awesome. Of course, don't have it on if you want to save FPS. I mean, don't really get the mod if you really want to save FPS. I'm not really big on FPS, as I said, so you know, I don't really care about the FPS and what it does to my computer. I mean, it just looks good. So the fact that it looks good, that's all I really care about. All right, let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty with the in-game settings. And let's turn this rain off. Jesus Christ. Rain is off. Let's go ahead and get into the in-game settings. So I'm just going to go through here and share my settings. I'm not going to really say what you should have and, you know, how this should be. I'm just going to say my settings and why I have my settings like that. So for the brightness, I always have it like a little bit past halfway. Sometimes I go up like equally with the safe zone size for some reason. It just like is satisfying to me. And like, I mean, this is what my game looks like, obviously, with the brightness, how it is. And I like it like that. So yeah, that's pretty cool for me. That's all you need to worry about in the display area. We can go to the graphics now. NVE usually takes up a lot of megabytes and gigabytes on your computer, so you know, when you're gaming and stuff like that. So if your computer can't really handle it, then you might want to upgrade your specs. So let's start from the very top. Obviously, I'm using DirectX 11. If you use DirectX 10, your computer's gonna look horrible. I mean, your game is gonna look like, it's just gonna look disgusting. Okay. The render resolution obviously is 1080. Use the proper render resolution for your computer only. FXAA, I have that on. It's gonna make your edges on like vehicles and stuff look way more sharper and like special. MSAA, I don't really have this on, but you know, it's actually kind of used for like rendering in the distance and stuff like that as well. So sometimes I turn it on, sometimes I turn it off. As you can see, it uses a lot. At the top, at the very top right here, uses a lot of that, so that's why I don't have it on. VSync, I always have that off. There's no reason for that. Pause game on focus loss, I always have that off. This depends on your RP server. Population density and population variety. That's basically like AIs and how many AIs pop up in the different random vehicles and AIs and all that good stuff. You want to turn that both down. That's just to save FPS, and you know, so you don't have to keep seeing AI and stuff like that. But I say again, depending on your community and depending on what RP server you're role playing on, that's that. Okay. Distance scaling, you want to have that either halfway or all the way up. You don't want to have it all the way down because, you know, you can't see stuff rendering properly in the distance. You're going to be driving and it's, you know, trees are going to randomly pop up and it's going to look weird. It's going to be absolutely stupid. And if you are streaming or recording videos, it's going to be bad. It's going to be horrible. Okay. So always leave distance scaling up. Extended texture budget. You always want to have that either down or just a little bit, like three max probably, you know. Because if you go all the way up, you can actually start to lose frames. And as you can see at the very top here, our megabytes are just going up. As long as I'm going up, the megabytes are going up. You know what I mean? So I can't even go all the way high without it, you know, just like exceeding the limit. So always leave it at 3 or below, because, you know, if your game start to lose texture, then up that texture budget. For texture quality, I always have this on high or very high. It depends on the mod I'm using. So if I'm using like Make Visuals Great Again, I always have it on very high. If I'm using this, I'm always on high. Shader quality, I'm always on high. Shadow quality, I'm always on high or very high. earlier I wanted to test something, so I put these two on very high. So yeah, that's that. But usually put them on high. Reflection quality on high. Reflection MSAA, I always leave that off. There's no reason to have that on unless your computer's a beast. Water quality, particle quality, and grass quality, I always have that on normal. You can see in any other video, tutorial video and graphics, I always have that on normal. So soft shadows, I always leave it on soft or softer, but usually it's on soft. There's no reason for it to be on anything else. You want soft shadows. Post effects, put it on very high or ultra. If you don't have it on very high or ultra, your game is not going to look as good as it could be. But the potential for NVE is very different from other graphic mods. Sometimes graphic mods like Radiance V, you can have it on high and it actually looks nice, but if you put it on very high and ultra, your game actually looks like how it's supposed to look. Hope I'm making sense here. Motion blur strength, you want to have that off if you are using the optional add-on for motion blur in NVE. If you're not using the optional add-on for motion blur with NVE, you want to turn motion blur strength up to your preference. It's always preference with motion blur. In-game depth effects, the same thing. It's always preference. I always have this on because it just looks nice. You can see in the corners of stuff, like everything's just like a little blurry. You know, you don't really have to see it because it's not really important. Everything in the center of my screen is usually very clear, so I like it like that. Anisotropic filtering, I always have it on 8. It kind of aligns with the texture quality. So if my texture quality is on high and my anisotropic filtering is on X8, then everything is like really clear. All the edges are sharp on everything. Anisotropic filtering is actually the key. Even if you want to have your texture quality on normal, you can always have anisotropic filtering on X8 and your game will look really nice and clear and not blurry. You know, like blurry roads, you won't have that. Ambient inclusion, you always want to have it on high, always on everything. This defines NVE. Ambient inclusion defines NVE completely. And tessellation, you want it off. There's no reason to have tessellation on, and it's really no difference in FPS. As you can see, I put it on very high. My video memory didn't change. So yeah. And that's pretty much it for that, guys. I hope that you liked the video. This is NVE. This is the NVE tutorial. And the server, as you can see, I'm playing on, this is Orange State Roleplay, my own custom community. I love this community with all my heart, and I put a lot of hard effort into it. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the link to the roleplay community in the description. We're opening on December 1st. This video will be out before then, obviously. But yeah. Guys, thank you so much. This is Jay Wilson TV. Peace out.